In this video, we are going to talk about overwhelm with multiple children and a newborn. So I thought that's quite fitting as I have a baby who is just now, I would say, growing out of the newborn stage. And so I have been well and truly like neck deep in the newborn stage for the last 3 months. So it's going to mean that I have very fresh, useful information to pass on to you. So let's get into it. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sinead. I have 6 children now and I'm a second generation homeschooler, and this channel is all about motherhood, homeschooling, child raising, and I make videos here once a week, and I post on my blog once a week as well, which is at thesimplemama.com, and you can follow me on Instagram, which is also at thesimplemama. And what I'm trying to do is just build a community of like-minded women who want to find joy in raising their kids, and I think that in today's society it's getting harder and harder to find mothers and a motherhood talk, conversation that really is trying to define the joy in motherhood and really trying to find joy in motherhood. I think a lot of the time now it's all about being overrun and extra tired and no time, and just trying to find these balances, an outside life and an inside life, and there's a whole lot of complaining. And while I'm sure not all women feel this way, and that's who I want to find. I want to find these women who are looking for solutions, who are looking for ways to make their home more joyful. And I hope that with my content, with sharing the way that I live and sharing the way that I find joy, I can help someone. So first off, I want to address overwhelm and being overwhelmed, and is it healthy and normal and constructive? Because overall I think it is. I think that if you think that I'm not overwhelmed, that I don't get overwhelmed, that is a complete just false assumption. I get overwhelmed all the time. But what I try and change in that mindset of being overwhelmed is not to just give up or give in and just let as many things slide. I just create systems, and most of all I adjust my mindset, and that just takes practice. So I would say there are 3 elements to avoiding being chronically overwhelmed when you have a newborn and lots of little children, which is what we're talking about today. And that is mindset, systems, and practice. Because I find the more children I've had, the easier it has been, especially when it comes to my mindset. The systems, you can tweak them and they change from child to child because you might have different circumstances. The systems I had 5 years ago are different to the systems I have now. So in this video, I want to talk about 5 things that I think every mother needs to hear if you're overwhelmed, if you're chronically overwhelmed, because I don't think any of these 5 is something that you can ditch and not get overwhelmed eventually, if not just right away. So these are the 5 crucial pillars of avoiding overwhelm in my opinion. First off, I want to keep it real. Now, I suppose, strangely, even though it feels really weird to say, that people would see me as a YouTuber. But I don't feel like that. I just feel like a mum who decided to talk to a camera once a week, which my kids find really weird. That's all I am. And so I want you to know that when you look into my home through my lens, which I control, you're looking into someone. It's like you've given me a call 2 hours prior and said, I'm coming over, and I have dropped everything and I have done a mad dash panic clean. It's the same thing. There is probably baskets of stuff hidden away. And so what I want to show you is I'm standing in front of a semi-clean room right now. I've been putting my makeup on for 2 days now because I've been hoping to make this video. Yesterday didn't happen. Today things happened to align. And by that I mean the baby fell asleep in the afternoon, so I gave my kids a screen, kicked them out, shut the door, and said don't come out and talk to me for 30 minutes. That's when I say things happen to align. I am not in a phase of life right now where my quiet times are happening every day and where I have a lot of me time. In fact, I think I have almost no me time at all. And I probably would have more me time if I wasn't doing this video and writing a blog. But this is something that I've decided to do, so it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I just don't let it overwhelm me. So to keep it real, I thought might make this video a little long, but I'm going to give you a little tour of the rest of my house because I want to show you how my house actually looks when I'm making a video, when I'm showing up here and I got my makeup on, and I don't have my hair on, I didn't get time for that, but I've got a nice dress on instead of like my trackies and a t-shirt, and I'm going to show you the rest of my house, because I want you to know that just because I'm preaching on how not to be overwhelmed doesn't mean I don't get overwhelmed, and I do not live in perfection, and that to not be overwhelmed in this newborn stage is not to be living in perfection, and I'm going to show you. So here's where I was standing. Here's my camera and my tripod, and there's a vase with no flowers in it, so just don't look at that. This is where I'm facing, all right? I'm looking at the lunch mess and the breakfast mess. Nothing's been cleaned today because it has been so hectic that I couldn't do it. It just didn't happen. I do have systems though, so I'm not overwhelmed because I know that when I finish this video, I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee, and yep, kitchen's dirty. Kitchen has not been touched all morning. We've got pancake mess. We've got lunch mess. I have washing to fold always. That pile is always there, just different clothes. We're going away on the weekend, so I've got snacks ready and stuff like this. I have a cot which needs to be put up for my baby. I have washing out there. I have washing where you can't see. There's washing on the line, and we're not going to look in that cupboard because just don't need to go there. And we won't open the fridge either because we don't need to go in there either. Bin needs emptying. Pantry needs sorting. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, that's just a living area. Oh, and look at the toys out here. We had Christmas, what, like less than a month ago, or about a month ago now, and I haven't culled yet. So that's pretty much how that room looks all the time. So that's fun. Alrighty, so that's my house right now. And it's not atrocious, you know, my house gets dirtier for sure. But I don't live in perfection, and I'm not worried about it right now. If I was really worried, then I wouldn't be making this video and I'd be like cleaning. But what I want you to know is that it's mind over matter. So I have 5 tips and then 1, I would say, mindset challenge when it comes to surviving with a newborn. The mindset challenge is know your role. This is kind of like my homeschooling know your why. Knowing your role is going to cement in your mind why you're here. My role right now is to serve my children, it is to serve my husband, and it's to serve my home. That's it. You're not planning into the future. You're not thinking days, weeks, or months ahead. Like, life doesn't stop, but as much as you can, stay in the day-to-day role of your life. You get up, you feed people, you keep the house hygienic, you rest, you feed people again, you're feeding babies, you're a little bit more tired, you're hormonal, you're probably not as bouncy as usual since you just had a baby. Embrace this role, because changing your mindset from the daily sort of go, 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 getting it done, homeschooling, doing the read alouds, going out for walks and entertaining your kids and trying to get them socialized and doing all these extra things needs to stop. I like to pretend that I'm kind of like from like Little House on the Prairie stages, you know, like phase of life. Like, I stay in my little cottage and I cook and I clean, and that's it, you know. My kids and I talk around the table. We cuddle on the couch with the new baby so that everyone can get to know the baby. We just take it easy. I don't make plans. If I don't want to go out, I don't go out. If I think, hey, today's a great day to go out, then I go out. Just live day to day. That's how you change your mindset. Knowing your role. Your role is not to serve anyone else out of the home. Your role is not to be worrying about anything else extracurricular. If you can cull anything extracurricular, like I did, like my YouTube channel and my blog suffered because I wasn't on here for 3 months or more. That, you know, if I was to be really concerned about my YouTube channel, then that would be like a huge no-no, and I wouldn't have let myself do that. But I know ultimately that taking off those 3 months has actually made it easier for me to take up now. I'm rested, I'm refreshed, I have a clear mind. My days, I'm able to fit it into my days without overwhelm. Cull the extracurricular. Don't try to impress anyone. No one cares if your house is clean. No one cares if you're well presented and your hair's done. Nobody cares. You have to just sort of, not that I ever really like the phrase of you do you, but in this stage you kind of do have to you do you. You have to just say, my role is my family and nothing else. And this is going to really help you to feel, you're going to feel overwhelmed, but it's going to help you feel like a good overwhelm in a way. Like to go, hey, it's a rough day, but tomorrow's a new day and I don't have any plans. And that's nice. Tip 1. Define your survival mode. Defining your survival mode means that once you're overwhelmed, hopefully now you can, if you were to take these tips into chronological order, let's say that your mindset, you're working on your mindset. You're trying to cull as much as you can when it comes to planning and when it comes to what you're supposed to be taking on in your life day to day. And you're going to try and live a little bit more day to day as well. Now I want you to define your survival mode. Your survival mode is something that you turn on both physically and in your brain, which sort of lets you know the important, crucial things in your life that you're going to take on. So this will match up with your mindset because you're only living day to day. So your survival mode should serve you. And a good way that you can do survival mode is to make a list of 5, which I will talk about in the next tip. But your survival mode needs to be made up of things that are going to help you now and help you tomorrow. Because if you don't start doing things now that are going to help you tomorrow, and I know that I said that you shouldn't think ahead, but you don't want to be planning ahead to the things you're going to do tomorrow. You still want to worry about one thing you can do today which will help you tomorrow. So there's a little bit of forethought that is required. But what your survival mode should do is it should help you now, but it also should help you tomorrow. Because if you're always just helping yourself now, then you're going to run into the same problems tomorrow, and that's not going to be helpful for anyone. So what you need to do is to find the things that you think are crucial in your home that you can't not do. So for me, it was cooking, it was laundry, it was keeping the house hygienic, and it was keeping my kids sort of in their chore rotation and rest as well. So that's 5 things that I knew were super crucial for me in the newborn season, and that's what I defined in my survival mode. My survival mode, I would say, pretty much kept up for the whole, like at least the first 6 to 8 weeks, I was in survival mode. And the way I got through that survival mode section is the next 4 tips, which I'm about to share with you. Tip number 2. Make a list of 5. So this goes in with your survival mode and it goes in with your mindset. You've changed your mindset, so you're only working day to day. You might be in survival mode if you're overwhelmed. So that means that you're going to do things that help you now, only what's important, and you're going to do things that help you tomorrow, only what's important. So now how to actually do that is to make a list of 5. I like to choose 2 things that will help me now, 2 things that will help me tomorrow, and 1 thing that will make me feel good. So the 1 thing that makes you feel good could be making your bed. It could be washing your face, doing your hair. It just should be getting dressed for the day, and you can have that same thing on your list every day of the week. I think doing something like that, for me, honestly, getting out of my pajamas isn't something that I really care about. Like getting dressed isn't something that really changed my mindset. But what changes my mindset is having my bed made and my face washed. If I'm really fresh and clean and my bed's made, it makes me feel 100% better. So that's something that I emphasize. So do what makes you feel good. Don't adapt what makes someone else feel good and think that you have to shove that into what's important for you. Still do what makes you feel good, and so yeah, you do 1 thing that helps you, and then you do 2 things that help you tomorrow. So these things aren't huge things. It could be that you're making a meal plan, or doing a shopping online, or making a shopping list. It could be that you are going to clean out 2 shelves of your fridge, tidy up a drawer in the bathroom that's been really annoying you. Or it could be that you're going to walk into your kids' room, you're going to open 2 drawers of their clothes, and you're going to cull because you have too much laundry. Just choose 2 small things that you could do in 10-minute tasks that will help you move forward in a very gentle rhythm way. You don't have to take on huge projects in order to stay organized, or in order to become more organized if you realize that that should have been something that you did and you didn't before your baby was born, and now you need to do it now. You don't need to make huge plans. Always, when you have a new baby, when you're overwhelmed and when you're in survival mode, make teeny tiny plans. It is a way that will make you feel good. It'll make you feel positive. You'll actually be able to achieve them, and you're not just going to be making these wild plans every day. And every day you're going to be realizing that half of them aren't getting done, which makes you feel more overwhelmed. Keep the plans small, keep them simple, keep them into 10, 15, maybe 20-minute tasks, and that is it. Now the 2 things that are going to help you today can be things like folding up all the laundry and getting the kids to put it away for you, or it could be washing all the towels in the house because they all need a refresh. It can be those kinds of things which help you today, help you make you feel good, you feel like you did something, and I find that that mindset really is more important sometimes than what you actually got done that day. I might be sitting on my couch watching TV at the end of the day feeding the baby with the house pretty untidy, but I might have like a fresh load of towels and tea towels, and I feel pretty good because I got something done that needed to be done. So don't underestimate a small to-do list with tiny tasks, and if you get them done every day, you actually accomplish way more in a week than you would have if every day you were trying to achieve a too big task. Tip 3, cull your daily mess. Now, I mentioned this in a sort of like a day in the life overwhelm video that I did, and I remember talking about culling my dishes, and I did cull my dishes. I culled my dishes to exactly what I need and exactly how many people we have in our house for bowls and plates. I culled my cutlery, I culled all my utensils, I culled all the kids' clothes. I did cull toys before Christmas, but that has changed. I just culled everything. I even culled all the cans in the pantry and moved all the extra cans into a place where I can't see them, but I can keep a tally. I just did things so that visually I wasn't overwhelmed, so that my kids couldn't get into things and make more mess for me. They can't change their clothes 10 times a day. They can't reach for a different towel every time they walk into the bathroom and decide to wash their hands and then make a big mess. They can't do those things. I got rid of them. So for a little while, I have become a little bit closer to minimalist. I'm still not a minimalist and I don't like to be minimalist, but I'm closer, and that is helpful. So whether you did that before your baby was born, like I was nesting and so I went into overdrive with all that stuff, or whether you realize that you need to do it now, still add that into your 10-minute tasks, do one little thing each day, and if you need to, start working on culling your workload. And even if there's things that you really love, you can still bring them back when your baby's older. Tip number 4, don't copy someone else's style. I have done this before and it just doesn't work out, okay? So for example, one of them was baby wearing. Baby wearing is really big on the internet right now, and it's really big amongst the crunchy mum circle, but baby wearing has its benefits, and I do baby wear sometimes, but I don't put pressure on myself to be a baby wearing mum and wear my baby all the time. I think for me, with other children, it doesn't work. And I did baby wear one of my kids, my second last child, and he did not sleep well. And we went through this horrible sort of 6, 7, 8 month transition where he was still feeding on me at night and still sleeping in my bed, and it was not enjoyable. It was too much. It was just too much for too long, and I was so exhausted. And you know, even having that kind of thing going on in your life really sort of turns you off having more kids. Like, it took me a little while after he was out of my bed for me to even go, yeah, I'm ready for another child again. And I understand that children can have behaviors and they can have things that they can't help, but for me, when I look back, that was something that I could help, and that was a problem that I created for myself because I thought that I should be a baby wearing mum, even though I didn't particularly enjoy it. So don't adapt someone else's style. You know, my first baby too, I sleep trained like overkill. Really, you know, when I look back on that too, I'm like, oh, I adapted just things from a book, like things that weren't me, that I didn't really enjoy, but I thought was right. Now that's all the learning curve of motherhood. So you're always going to look back and go, oh, I did this and I did that and it didn't work for me. You're never going to avoid that. But if you're struggling right now and you're watching someone else on YouTube and you're watching someone else, or you have friends or you have family who do it a certain way, don't think that by doing it that way, it's going to fix all your problems. I do think there are certain practices when you have a newborn which can benefit most mums, but you can't just walk into someone else's life with your life and think it's going to fit magically. It's not. You need to be able to try new things, keep learning, but if they don't work for you, don't feel like you failed or that you're not good enough to parent in that certain way. That's, you know, that's cookie talk. You just need to be able to keep trying, keep learning, and keep adapting things to your style and to what you enjoy and to what suits your family. And so don't adapt someone else's style, because this kind of behavior can make you feel extremely overwhelmed and defeated when you fail. It can really, and it will rob you of joy. You know, don't compare, and just do your own thing. And still be open though to, sometimes I think that people say, oh, you should never give a new mum advice, or a new mum shouldn't have to take advice. And I think that's too far on the other side too. I think, how are we supposed to learn as mothers, and how are we supposed to try new things and learn new things if we aren't taking advice? I think that's kind of crazy talk. I think that, yes, you don't have, some people's advice is just crazy and you're like, nah, I'm not doing that. But take advice sometimes, because a lot of the time too, when you're inside the situation, you can't see it for what it really is, but someone who's watching on the outside can see it for what it is. And so don't be afraid to take advice, and I suppose really don't be too proud to take advice. If you're too proud to take advice, well, you're going to have a hard time. You really are, because sometimes advice can come in not a very nice, you know, envelope, but it's good on the inside and you have to just try it. And I don't know if that saying made any sense. I don't think it did. Anyway, I want to note too, I am going to do a video on what I do for sleep training, and do I do crying it out, and do I do any of those other practices. That will be in its own video. Tip number 5, if you have other children or if it's just you and your baby, you need to keep a routine. You cannot throw a routine out the window. Now, you don't have to keep the same routine that you had before the baby was born. I think that's too far as well. If you try and just think that you're going to come home and you're going to have a couple of weeks rest, and then you're going to slot yourself and that baby right into your normal routine of homeschooling and housework and cooking and whatever else that you do in your life, you're going to have a hard time and you're going to be exhausted. And what's it all for? Why? Why do you have to do it this way? Why can't you slow down and enjoy your baby? So remember, you need a routine, but you don't need the same routine that you had, but you need a routine. What I like to do is kind of call it like I've got like a ghost routine for my house right now. It's the ghost of what once was. So, you know, I usually had homeschooling in the morning, and then we'd have quiet time in the afternoons. We'd have obviously morning chores. We'd have a tidy up after lunch. We'd have, you know, then I'd cook dinner. We'd do a tidy up of a dinner. Everyone would, you know, we'd watch a show, everyone would play, and then we'd go to bed. And in that time, you know, there's going for rides, there's going to town, there's going to the park, there's going for walks and reading books, and there's certain activities, and there's a lot to do in that. Now, what I do is we wake up, no set wake up time. We have breakfast. We tidy. I let the kids play while it's cool in the morning. They go and play outside. We come in, we have lunch. My house still isn't tidy. What's working for me right now is in the routine is in the afternoons we have a 45-minute clean where we get music on that the kids love to listen to. We set the timer for 45 minutes and we all work together as a team around the house to get it tidy, and that is working really well, especially because my house is set up. So I've culled everything so that each room can be done by us in like 5 minutes flat. And plus, I can follow my kids after they've cleaned and kind of do that mother's touch on things. So in 45 minutes, I got a clean house. Now, I know I have older kids, and if you only have young children or children who aren't quite up to that yet, although don't be surprised if your children are 4, 5, and 6, you can definitely start that kind of cleaning. They love the teamwork, they love the atmosphere. And you can take the time to sort of teach them and go, here, do what mum does. That's a really good way to get kids involved in chores rather than giving them one job to do alone. It makes them feel, and then you have to chase them up and watch them do it, and it's extremely time consuming. Telling them you're going to set the timer and put some music on is just fun for children, and children learn best when it's fun. But if it's just you and you only have you and a couple of toddlers, or you have just you and your baby, then you can still do the same thing. Chuck in some earbuds, set the timer. You know your baby's going to sleep hopefully for at least an hour, and clean. And you should just do that once a day if that's all you want to do. Try and get your house set up so that you can clean your house in an hour a day. And if you're doing that every day, your house should never get to a state where it's going to take you hours and hours and hours. Now, you might not be deep cleaning every day, but that's fine. This is not the time for deep cleaning. Keep a routine. So tell your children that it's time to do activities in the morning. And you don't have to be there like a mother hen saying, now we're going to do this activity now from 10 to 10:30 and this activity now from 11:45 to 12. Just say, hey, there's a box of puzzles and some games. Play it for an hour. You don't need to be, you know, there for them all the time. I mean, maybe it's just my style, and I do things with them. I read books with them. I sit down and build Lego with them, and we build big train tracks together. I do spend time with my kids, but if I'm stuck on the couch feeding, or if I'm like, whoa, I need to go outside and, you know, water my garden, or I need to fold the washing or something like that, then I just tell my kids to do something, and they have to do it, and that's perfectly healthy. You know, don't put too much emphasis on being there for your kids and that you have to be there for your kids. Facilitate an environment of active play, of working together, and of just connection and spending time together, and the rest will fall into place. Now, as for homeschooling, I had a lot of questions about how to homeschool with a newborn. Right, and I will be doing a video on homeschooling with my baby now that she's 3 months old, because we're about to start the school year. But even if my baby was born in the middle of the year and we were still doing school, I would have stopped school. My advice to any mom who has a really fresh baby and you're still trying to homeschool, stop. Life is long. School years are long. You do not need to be showing up for this, you know, 12 weeks in order to fix your children or in order to continue your child's education, because it's just going to be drastic if you stop. just stop, take a break. It's, you know, you can still do read alouds and you can still do some general activities when you feel up to it. Like you might be having a good day and you can say, hey kids, get a school book out, I'm feeling good. But allow yourself to go on the bad days. Just tell yourself straight up, I am not showing up and I don't care. Because I find that's healthier than forcing yourself to show up. Now, you can totally disagree with that and you can think, no, I think it's too important, or I think it's just, you know, you can't do that. I've done it, and I've had 3 pregnancies and births in the times when I've been homeschooling, and my kids are just fine. So how I prepared to stop, I did school all year round, so I didn't take the holidays. But you have to remember that I do a 4-day week and I'm minimalist homeschool, so this was extremely easy for me to do. So I did it all around. I schooled all year because I knew we were going to take 3 or 4 months off, and we're coming to the end of month 4 now, and we've been loving it. It's been really good, and I'm really glad I made that choice. So hit the like button if you liked this video. Please like it. It helps it spread to other mothers who may need this advice. And subscribe if you want to join me in learning new skills when it comes to beating overwhelm and findings and developing systems to overcome it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. My name's Sinead. I am the content creator behind thesimplemama.com, and until next time, bye.